I've tried so many different self-help books and programs, and what they teach is insight, but fail to provide an external structure. But insight without structure often leads to falling short and then feeling like a failure, feeling broken, feeling incapable of doing. What if an external system can carry the load when internal understanding fails? I can learn so much about myself, and I've been to therapy, I've been to counseling, I've worked programs, self-help here, do this, follow this schedule. And what I've learned about myself is astronomical. Like I probably know myself better than I ever have, and learned a lot, especially about my ego, about my pride, and my fears, all of that. But insight alone isn't going to work. So let me give you an example. I want to say about 2.5, 3 years ago, I was shifted departments at my work, and I walked in the department as a leader and didn't know anything about the material, the structure, anything. But I walked in there with a chip on my shoulder, with the ego the size of the moon. And I didn't even know, I wasn't aware of it until, a few days later, one of the staff came to me and was explaining the situation and how they were rubbed the wrong way. Okay, great. I understand. Let's move forward. Let's try this again. Well, 2-3 days later, I go in the same way. And so I was humble enough to take a look at that. But just because I noticed it, had awareness around it, didn't mean that I was going to change. The difference between what I know about myself and how my feet are moving are very different. There's a huge gap between them. I am still arrogant. I still think that I know it all. And some people might call it confidence because I don't have a lot of self-doubt. But I think that it is more of a shortcoming because it doesn't leave room for teachable moments. It doesn't allow me to be open and receptive to learning something new. And so this ego really stopped the department from growing because I couldn't get out of my own way. And it wasn't because I didn't know about myself. It was because I didn't have a system in place to translate that clarity, that insight to actions. Just because I know myself in this particular situation doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to stop being an asshole or I'm going to, start opening the floor to others. No, that doesn't mean that at all. Just because I know about myself, I still suffer from things like self-grandiosity and forget the insights in the moment. When emotions that relate to my self-worth arise is a huge place that I forget all of that stuff. When I feel like my identity is being attacked or my self-worth is being lowered because people aren't respecting me. I mean, I don't really particularly care for arrogant assholes either. So I definitely understand that. So insight is a different system than actions. Just because you know something about yourself does not mean that that self-knowledge is going to come to the forefront of your mind when pressure arises in any form, especially emotions. When I'm angry, an example most people can relate to, road rage. I don't have road rage, but It's a good illustration of this. Is I'm having a positive day, and I know for a fact that when somebody cuts me off, I get pretty irritated. But because I'm aware of this, I decide, hey, I'm not going to cuss this dude out or flip him off, whatever. But when it actually comes time for it, maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but if I'm stuck in traffic and something pops off, then all hell breaks loose. Even though I had awareness that this was going to happen, I still failed to show up the way that I said that I was. The emotions or pressure and stress begin to narrow my options. And a lot of people say I just see red, when rage occurs. And I've never experienced that, but I hear it frequently. And so when pressure begins to build, our ability to choose options narrows. For example, let's say that we have 100 options. And the more I begin to pressurize because of stress, urgency, anger, the more I begin to pressurize, the more numbers start to disappear. I started with 100 options. So it goes from 100 to 90, 80, 10, 5. And the options don't go away. It's just my ability to choose those options begin to dwindle. And my only option at that moment is to get enraged and start throwing a fit, start seeing red, whatever. So that pressure, those emotions, that stress, the sense of urgency, the need to hurry up, those drive action, typically by force. What we do, our actions are often independent of our thoughts when pressure is involved. And pressure can show up in any form. You might not even think it's pressure. Like when I'm excited about something, that could be considered as pressure because it starts to pinhole my choices. I start reacting to the excitement and start behaving in a certain way that is predictable of my patterns. And so when that happens, it doesn't mean that I'm failing. It doesn't mean that I lack the ability to, stay grounded or stable. It just means that the pressure is reacting, or it's an internal system failure because I don't have the ability to contain that pressure. But that doesn't mean that I am broken or a failure. It just means that I have more insight about myself without an external structure. I react even though I have self-knowledge. What I need in place is a system. The transition between my thoughts and my actions is where the structure needs to start. I need to have something between my thoughts and emotions to my actions. But that sounds like a huge order. Like, how do we develop that? That's a little scary, but don't worry. We're going to develop that together. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave. You're welcome. If you choose it, you can be here. I've worked with people for a lot of years and have seen patterns, and we will develop a system. And this is not an overnight matter. It's not something that we're just going to be able to snap our fingers and it exists. It's going to be hard work. But we're going to do this together, and The structure can apply in any situation, either if it's at work or at home or under a lot of stress or a situation is unbearable. We will build that system so your insights can actually be applied in moments of pressure. I'm putting that self-paced structure together so you can use it. You're welcome to join us on this journey. If these are things that you struggle with, don't feel like a failure. Don't feel broken. This is the human condition. We have our limits, but we have intelligence, and so we can build systems and structures to help us carry the load of our limits.